Hello, welcome back. I'm Dawn Neeson on GB News in for Martin this afternoon. Now, let's talk farming, because this is another thing that's getting you very angry. The president of the National Farmers Union has vowed that farmers will fight the government's inheritance tax raid for as long as it takes, as many continue to fear the policy will spill the death of the family farm. This comes as a Conservative motion to block the family farm tax was defeated in the House of Commons yesterday. Who'd have thunk it, eh? With many rural Labour MPs voting in favour of the inheritance tax raid. Yeah, good luck with getting elected next time, you lot. Right, OK, we can now speak to one of the farmers who's voiced his concern against the government's plans, Charles Goadby, who comes to us live from Nuneaton. And thank you very much, Charles, for joining us. Now, the producers are having some debate about you're standing in a barn, they think with a cow, but they weren't sure.
Yeah, they've moved. Have just been walking behind me, but no doubt they'll be back at some point. I think it's one line down there.
I was just slightly worried whether they could identify cows or not. They are very young. So, yeah. Charles, look, this was a Lib Dem debate that was put before the House yesterday. With the government's majority, no surprise, it failed miserably. How angry are you about what's going on?
Angry is not the word. To be honest, I found yesterday almost comedic. It was what we expected. I mean, Here we are. We've got a government and, well, basically what our government is now is a couple of people on the front bench. I think we can rule DEFRA out because the Treasury have overruled them. So they disputed figures between the two of them initially, and now the Treasury have made DEFRA toe the line. So we've really got a Prime Minister, a Deputy Prime Minister, a Treasury, and a couple of whips. And they are who are running this country. Because I have met my MP, a newly elected Labour MP. I've also met a neighbouring Labour MP who have both said to me, the figures are wrong. We know they are. We want to support farmers. And there is a huge amount of backbenchers who want to support farmers. We heard that in the debates yesterday. A number of them stood up and said this isn't right. But they are frightened of losing their privileges in Parliament. And it's wrong. Where's democracy gone?
Well, exactly. They're there to serve you. They're there to serve us. Remember, that is their actual job. Charles, it's been very civilised. I mean, an amazing demonstration in Westminster the other week, which we covered obviously extensively on GB News. And it was very civilised, very calm. You know, you're not demanding too much. You're just demanding a few tweaks here and there, most of you. But how long is that goodwill going to last?
I think we're about at that straw that breaks the camel's back now. There's an awful lot of anger. There's a lot of discussions going on. We look at people like the NFU and we're looking to them to say, right, we need to know what sanctions there are now. It's not, as I've explained it to people, when I tell my kids off, if you don't follow through with the sanctions, they're just going to get worse and misbehave more. We need to make the government understand that this is serious. And if they don't take a serious look at the figures that they've got wrong and listen to the facts, there are going to be consequences.
And what are those consequences?
They're to be debated. There's a lot of discussions. I mean, the simple one is to withhold food production. I mean, it's very easy to say, there are going to be farmers that will hurt straight away. A lot of dairy farmers, that'll mean impacting their milk check from day one. They're going to be taking the brunt of that. There's going to be a lot of farmers on punitive contracts as well. If they don't supply what's on contract, they're going to be penalised. So it's got to be found out a way of how to do this. But, you know, most importantly, you know, we are concerned about the general public. We don't want to annoy people and we don't want to hit the worst off, the poorest in society the most. And they're the ones that are going to get hit, the ones that can the least afford food, because it will impact food prices. But if we don't do anything, we're going to see food production in this country fall through the floor. And we are going to see major food inflation and we're going to see regular empty supermarket shelves.
Yeah.
Using the internet without a VPN is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. We want to help protect you. This video's sponsor, Private Internet Access, is the VPN to help keep you safe. Now, you might be asking, what is a VPN? Well, a virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and safeguards your internet connection through an encrypted tunnel. This way, it shields your digital life from the eyes comprised of those that are looking to exploit your private information. Whenever you connect to the internet on a public Wi-Fi network, such as at airports, coffee shops, friends' houses, or even in your own home, your data is at risk of being stolen. Hackers that are connected to the same Wi-Fi network have the ability to steal your personal data with ease. T-Mobile reached a settlement this year with the US Federal Communications Commission after they suffered data breaches in 2021, 22, and 23. In 2023 alone, over 37 million customers' data was exposed. And it's not just hackers to be concerned about. Information can be censored. When Canada passed their C-18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news content that you love. Private internet access is available for all platforms: Windows, macOS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one private internet access subscription to protect an unlimited number of devices at the same time. Plus, we've got a huge GB News discount. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get 83% off PIA. That is under £2 a month, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free. There's also a 30-day money-back guarantee. So head to piavpn.com/GB News to start protecting yourself digitally today.
Yeah, Charles, if you do decide to take that extra action, I mean, are we potentially talking about shelves empty at Christmas that soon?
Absolutely. I mean, realistically, I think people have got to look and think about this. And actually, the next few weeks are going to be critical in the food supply chain and for the supermarkets and for everybody. This is the mad rush now for Christmas, and so if people chose to do it, now would be the ideal time to do it. Well, ideal time, I think, is the wrong word, because nobody wants to do it.
No,
but it was when we would have the maximum impact.
Yeah. And Charles, what does it mean for you personally, running your farm? I mean, will you survive this, or is it the end of the line for you and your farm?
So I spoke at my local council last night. They themselves have opposed this budget. And I explained to them, my 10-year average profits from farming has been £126 an acre. Now, on top of all this, we're seeing many other things, including the accelerated, removal of the decoupled payments, the basic payment scheme that we used to get the subsidy. So my predicted profit per acre is going to be around about £60 per acre from next year. And my father's the majority landowner. He's 80 years old. If he was to die and we were having to face the inheritance tax bill, that will cost me over 10 years in the region of £200 an acre. So food production here wouldn't be sustainable. And that is the story up and down the country. That's what every farmer's facing, every main food producing farmers. The only people that are going to get away with it are your smallholders and your pony paddocks, a lot of people that retired and bought themselves an idyllic country lifestyle, and your major big businesses that are investing outside money. Food production will not buy farmland now.
Yeah. Charles, it's not sounding good, is it? Thank you very much for talking to us this afternoon. I really appreciate your time. That's Charles Goadby from Nuneaton, a farmer that is going to struggle. And you heard, we could have empty shelves at Christmas if the government don't do something about sorting this mess out. Now, a new feed supplement has promised to revolutionise cow farming in the UK, with the new substance reportedly able to reduce carbon emissions from cows by 27%. The practice has come under some criticism by organic suppliers and even one of the King's advisors for threatening to disrupt the natural process of farming, as the long-term effects of the substance on cattle are still not known. Now, I just want to read you this out because this is all right. Okay, it's green. It's the Green Initiative, and this is from a brilliant hill farmer. It's called in Cornwall, actually, and a cow farmer. And he says, right, with all the chat going around about this, it's called Bovar, this substance, being fed to dairy cattle. We thought we'd take the chance to explain why we think our cows need to reduce their methane emissions. Our cows own 4 private jets, a seaplane and a helicopter. In 2022, our cows took 392 flights, averaging just one over a day. The cows' investments include travel, yachts, dwellings, responsible for over 6 million tonnes of CO2 emissions. Oh no, sorry, that's Bill Gates, who is one of the backers of this bovine substance. So, I thought that was a very interesting point made, that farmer. So, jet emissions versus cows' bottom burps. Any case, let's talk to Northern Ireland reporter Doogie Beattie, who's going to probably raise the tone of this debate for me. Doogie, good to see you. Go on, I've given you a tone, you can raise it, please.
Well, Bovaer is a food additive. It's a methane-suppressing piece of pharmaceutical for animals. It is a silicone, synthetic silicone, that is now being added to certain farms to stop the cows breaking wind. That's the best way of putting it. And of course, this has been going on for some time. Many experiments have been taken on this. There was the kale back in the 80s and 90s, which tinged the milk, actually tasted it slightly. Then there was seaweed. That also tinged the milk slightly. And of course, farmers have been used pretty much to try things out on animals as they go along. And it is an expense.
Doogie, have we lost you? I think we have lost you indeed there. But we are big supporters of the farming industry here on GB News, and this is just part of it. Many farmers are saying this is not right. They're not happy with what they're doing, and we don't know the effects of it. And there is also talk of a boycott of this. And so I just read that. It was a social media post out from that farmer down in Cornwall. And it's ridiculous that we've got rich people like Bill Gates, who is is part of one of the backers of this substance, who is flying around the world in private jets and then forcing farmers to introduce this stuff because cows are, passing wind, as we say. And we will try to get Doogie back for you, but it's just another rod for the farming industry to bear. In particular, the hill farmers who we've seen a report today, who are often the poorest farmers in the country. Many, though, are cattle farmers, and they are going to be suffering even more because of this and because of the inheritance tax that they're still fighting for. It is actually a mess, and you really wouldn't want to be a farmer at the moment. But please let me know what you think about this at gbnews.com/your say. Will you be taking this substance? I mean, it's like, it's going from, we're not quite sure what it's going to do yet. It's supposedly perfectly safe. But will you be going out of your way to pay a little bit more to get a more natural product, more natural milk, butter, yogurt, all of those things? It's an interesting one, is it? So gbnews.com/your say. Now, we do have to give a right of reply to the people who are producing this. It's a company called Arla, who are responsible for the development of the new supplement, and they are saying Bovaer has already been extensively and safely used across Europe, and at no point during the trial will there be any impact on the milk we produce, as it does not pass from the cow into the milk. That's what they say. Do you trust them? I mean, we've had lots of conspiracy theories going around recently. We went through the pandemic, didn't we, with all the vaccine stuff as well. But lots of you are getting in touch about farmers as well. Grumpy Granda, good afternoon, Grumpy. I haven't spoken to you for a while. Says, I'm hoping the farmers are going to give Starmer all the wind he can handle on Wednesday. I back them 100%. Well, that was yesterday, wasn't it? But yeah. Massive majority, it didn't actually make much difference. Lots of you also getting in touch about the rainbow armbands as well. Yes, sports people should not take the knee or wear a mask that dangers, put rainbow bands supporting the LGBTQ. Plus, stay out of sport. Managers and relevant associations to discourage this evil attack on society using sports. Thanks. And that's from Robert. And PW says, I could not care less if a footy or rugby player is gay or straight. It's their ability to play the game that is more important. We don't need rainbow armbands or political statements. Let's just get on and enjoy sport for what it is. Keep those coming in. gbnews.com/your say.